This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3, and welcome to Chrysoberyl Garden for this SVA featuring the Green Soviets in the North. This is GreenAlert, very aptly named there. And in the South, playing the Red Allies, this is PerasperaAdastra, which I'm assuming is a Smurf. I believe this was played on the Chinese server. Well, it was definitely played on the Chinese server, but I believe PerasperaAdastra is a Chinese player, which I had heard AdAstra before, but I was not as familiar with Peraspera, but apparently it's Latin, and apparently it roughly translates to through suffering to the stars, which perhaps is a very inspiring thing to name yourself, but it's also a very long name for this game. So Soviets versus Allies, GreenAlert versus AdAstra, and we have Liberation Freeze, aka Chrysoberyl Garden. The slight variation of it, Liberation Freeze, is laid out a little bit differently. At least I hope I'm remembering the other name of this map correctly. And we do have these oil derricks on the top, which does kind of make this third refinery to third refinery place quite valuable, which is why we do see both of these players opting to play for the high ground rather than the low ground on the southern side of the map. Airfield is now out from our Allied player, and we saw War Factory already here from our Soviet player. 2 bullfrogs for GreenAlert. No flax. A common strat with a lot of Chinese players is to go flak troopers quite heavily in the beginning, depending on the map if you are predicting an airfield first. But since it wasn't an aggressive airfield first, the airfield was delayed by comparison. We have just regular bullfrog timing coming out from GreenAlert. A couple of bears do go down. For now, the Jav has survived, which is a bit of a mistake. You do want to get the Jav killed off quickly, but we'll see if it actually comes back to haunt GreenAlert or if it's just a minor annoyance. In this case, he will get the kill on the building. So GreenAlert has to deal with being dislodged from all of these structures. Third refinery on the water for AdAstra. Third refinery on the high ground for GreenAlert, which, since his War Factory is on the low ground, he doesn't have quite the same kind of pushing pressure, but he does have incentive to stay up here. So we'll see if the Allied player ends up going, naval yard, maybe into assault destroyers or something like that. Bears coming in, dog as well. Dog gets shut down, and the building will be cleared out, I think. No, it does not get cleared out, and the dog does survive, so the last conscript will go down. The javelin soldier once again survives, and it is going to be a naval yard on the low ground, but it will not be for assault destroyers, at least not just yet. And GreenAlert now has to deal with this oil derrick being sniped. The laser lock from that Jav soldier going to be causing some problems for him. And even if the Jav goes down, at this point it was worth it because of how much damage he has done to this oil derrick. Nice body blocks coming in from GreenAlert. He will save his oil derrick for now. Hammer tank is out. No cryocopter here to go for the shrink and deny this crush. So it's going to be the Vindicators who get the kill on that to save the Jav. The Bears going for the Jav, but they won't quite get the kill. And the Riptide's going to be trying to clean up the rest of the infantry from the Soviet player. AdAstra, now with 4 Vindicators and a potential 4th refinery coming up here, is well set up, especially with now this multi-gunner turret in the middle of the map. And this power plant was actually finished. Bit of a mistake there by GreenAlert. I think he let that accidentally finish. I don't think he really wanted that there. And I guess he's just going to abandon this high ground. Refinery is going to get taken down. First bombing run comes through, weakening it quite a bit. And this might just be a turret push across the map. Sometimes the Allied player will set up a War Factory here on the high ground and go for a push just from this position of strength. But this might actually just be a turret push kind of transitioning after this. Jav is now back out on the field. GreenAlert has started his 4th refinery, but I think that's soon going to be downgraded to a 3rd refinery before too long. Dolphin already on the harassment path. Terror drone as well on the high ground, and I think the Jav won't be able to escape this time. 2 jabs going to be going down. Vindicators coming in. They will mostly get the hammer tanks. Only 1 Vindicator goes down. If that second hammer tank had gone down, that definitely would have been worth it for AdAstra, but he really wanted to get the shutdown on those hammer tanks, and he just didn't get it. So the heal up of the hammer tank will mostly happen. He doesn't quite get it completely healed up, and there's going to be a Dolphin shutting down that 4th refinery. High ground maintained secure for now. Ore refinery back up to full health. Oil derrick as well. AdAstra almost killing off a bunch of this infrastructure for GreenAlert, but never actually finishing the job. Refinery could be restarted here. GreenAlert may be a little bit low on cash, but still has a decent number of bullfrogs out on the field. The hammer tanks have been getting hammered by those Vindicators, and so we have had the hammer tanks paying the price and not the bullfrogs. The bullfrog numbers have remained solid throughout this entire game. Finally, cryocopters are out on the field for AdAstra, which means these hammer tanks are going to be potentially under a lot more threat. They have not been threatened very much up to this point, but with the cryocopter, the hammer tanks become a lot harder to hold on. But this might just be a bit of a switcheroo. Hammer tanks on the south side, jabs and cryocopter on the north side. Flak cannon is here. Toxins. No, it's going to be a satellite drop on top of these jabs and not toxins. AdAstra could have split those jabs a little bit differently to potentially still keep one of them laser locked on those buildings, but instead pulls everything back. I think he's going to have to pull everything back to the main base. He has to answer these hammer tanks. Bullfrogs way out front. They will be able to tag a lot of these Vindicators and cryocopters before they even get to the front line, and they have bought so much space for these hammer tanks. The hammer tanks not under any kind of threat at all. Cryocopters looking to re-engage. Bullfrogs need to reposition themselves quickly, and if there are any MiGs, they need to be coming over to this side of the map immediately. 4 cryocopters, now down to 3 cryocopters, potentially soon 2, but no, they do get the freeze, and now the hammer tanks need to be shut down. Hammer tanks going for the leech to try and steal some of those bullfrog weapons, but they haven't switched back to their main guns. No, the hammer tanks only now going to be switching back to their main guns, and they don't get the kill on the cryocopters. GreenAlert tried to do some fancy moves there, but it didn't work out the way he wanted. And because the bullfrogs fell, now the rest of the army falls as well. The reinforcements are unfortunately not coming through for GreenAlert. Now back on the high ground, Bears will get the cleanup on a couple of these jabs. Not too bad for GreenAlert, but really, this is what he needed before. 1 to 2 MiGs would have completely changed that engagement. He would have still had pressure here. He could have gotten a kill on the refinery, maybe a couple of these power plants as well, just to be annoying, and then could have retreated. But bullfrogs were the choice. They ended up getting frozen. Vindicators were able to clean everything else up, and the MiGs are going to pursue. I think he can go kind of deep onto enemy territory, go for the kill on at least one of these cryocopters. He goes really deep onto enemy territory. He just stands over top of a bunch of jabs inside of a building and a multi-gunner turret. He gets 2 of the 3 cryocopters, but not the 3rd. That was deep on enemy territory. Maybe not really worth it there in the end. But GreenAlert has stabilized on 4 refineries. I thought this one was done for a while ago, but the combination of the barracks and the double flak cannon have helped keep that one safe. This would be a great time to have 4 MiGs to be able to engage this army. No flaks on the ground. No bullfrogs. 1 bullfrog and 1 MiG. A bit unfortunate here for GreenAlert. 1 harvester will go down. Trades it out for 1 MiG. 2nd Apollo will go down. Yes, 2 Apollos do go down. And the flak's getting a couple of shots against these cryocopters. 1 cryocopter should... Okay, he does want to commit for the kill. Cryoshock fires off. Jabs will get pushed back, and all of the hammer tanks escape the Freezy Ray from that cryo shot. Although they may not escape. Okay, they do. Everything is able to pull back. Akula sub in the south. GreenAlert trying to open up this water expansion and shut that down. That will knock the allied player down to 3 bases, but the allied player also has an oil derrick and has done more harassment damage to GreenAlert. Nice laser lock, nice laser, targeting laser from the Guardian to help those Vindicators get the kill there. One bombing run, and it will be the satellites getting called in, but the refinery's already been sold off, and the command hub does manage to escape. Guardian tanks being committed to by AdAstra. He's not actually going super fast for tier 3. I was going to say, we may not actually see many Guardian tanks. He may just go Athenas and Mirages, given the game state. A little bit more poke pressure against this high ground would be nice, and then the Athenas on the high ground can start targeting these buildings as well. And I feel like that's what you want. We haven't seen a strong presence of Twin Blades from GreenAlert at this point, so the harassment has been a little bit more limited. If we had some Twin Blades, or if we had a Twin Frog combo moving around the map, there might be a bit more pressure on the allied player, keeping him at home. But in this case, it's all just ground units from GreenAlert. That's a great lockdown on 3 of the Guardian tanks. That Tesla Trooper just walked out from that barracks and got the kill. This at the very least will buy some time for GreenAlert. Second Guardian tank does go down. Cryocopters getting chased away. Bullfrogs here as well, but the Bullfrogs get sent to the front line as the MiGs are still pursuing those Cryocopters. All 3 Cryos end up going down. Guardians are going to come in for the crush on the Bears to save those jabs, but it just won't be enough as the Hammer tanks push back the Guardians and the Tesla Troopers go for the kill on the jabs. Refinery has not been re-established, so it is still a 3 refinery allied player, and that was not a great engagement for the allied player. That was just a normal bombing run against a refiner. That's not something we see very often. Just 4 Vindicators bombing out a refinery. Not something we see all that much. Normally it's combined with something else. It's a combination with something. Once again, this high ground expansion survives another assault. This refinery has stuck around for a long time for GreenAlert. He's been able to hold on to this, and without Athena cannons, we'll see if he's able to knock it down. I'm so surprised that AdAstra didn't just rush to tier 3. Cryoblast will be getting a little bit of space for these Guardians. GreenAlert will now be able to push up in onto the high ground. Refinery finally falls. Build radius is still here. Guardians are going to just evacuate. They are not interested in sticking around for the fight. Harvester can get sent to the Crusher Crane. Okay, there is a Crusher Crane, which gives you 50% of the cost of the refinery just back in your pocket. 4th ref up and running, and this is good for GreenAlert. He can also, once again, go for the harass on the water expansion of the allied player. Riptide gets shut down. It was shrunken down, so it might have had an engineer, might have had a spy, might have had a Tanya inside of it, but in any case, it is dead now. Whatever was inside of that Riptide is gone. I guess it could have just been a couple of jabs to go for some laser locks, try and shut down some buildings. High ground refinery back up and running. GreenAlert has finally passed AdAstra in terms of total resources gathered. We have ourselves a Soviet player with now a better economy than the allied player. There's the shrink on the Akula sub. There is a second Akula sub, and this is an allied player who has not been able to keep these cryocopters alive, and they are very far away. MiGs, oh, the Apollos swing in, so I guess good spacing by those Apollos. The Bullfrogs are a little bit behind, so the Apollos will eventually have to leave, but most of the MiGs have gone down. The Apollo's able to re-engage with the MiGs, and the Cryocopters turning back into the range of the Bullfrogs, hoping to get a couple of freezes here. I'm not sure if that's really going to work, and Cryocopters will be able to escape. They can outrun the Bullfrogs, and multi-gunner turret low power mode just in time. The refinery will get sold off, but I think this naval yard will also fall. GreenAlert finding some space out here on the water, managing to knock down a refinery. And meanwhile, on the high ground, this refinery from GreenAlert, one shot away, and AdAstra doesn't realize it, sends the Guardian tank home, but GreenAlert also doesn't realize it, so it's not being repaired. He might have an engineer queued up to go and heal it, but no, He's got nothing as Guardian tanks are going to engage with the hammers on the low ground. Guardians pushing forward, able to jump on a couple of these hammer tanks, and that target painter causing some big damage and big problems for the Guardians, but that's going to be 2 Guardians killed back by, oh, 3 Guardians! Get it, 4 Guardians get infected! The worst luck ever with those terror drones. That is awful luck for this allied player. Even one of them heroic, one of these Guardians fully heroic, healing through the pain of the terror drone. And the freeze will come in as well. There goes that terror drone. Cryocopter's gonna get sniped. Both of them go down. Even more cryocopters getting eliminated. Vindicators all go down as well. 2 Vindicators come in for a bombing run. Actually, I think 4 Vindicators came in for a bombing run, and all 4 of them went down. This allied player has lost a huge amount. Hydrofoils, cryocopters, a bunch of Guardian tanks, and 4 Vindicators, all in the space of about 30 or 45 seconds. And if we could see an efficiency graph for this game, it would have just taken a nosedive for the allied player. Still no tier 3. I am not sure why AdAstra is refusing to go Athena cannons. They're such an incredibly powerful tool for the allied player, and they're just being skipped here. Guardians, Riptides, Peacekeepers, and Jabs go for the kill on the hammer. A couple of Jabs do get crushed because of this, and this might just be a base trade. There's not nearly as many hammer tanks as you would normally like for this, but the Bullfrog numbers are healthy, and I think there's a couple of MiGs around the place as well. A couple of Tesla troopers mixed in. Twin Blades are finally here. They will finally get a couple of hit kills. And Guardian tanks, Peacekeepers, Jabs, Riptides going to be tearing apart this Soviet base. Airfield will get shut down. Jab gets eliminated, though, so it's going to be the super reactor that goes down first. Number of the Guardian tanks going to be going down. Just one. A second one low on health, but he's heroic, so he will heal through the pain. Meanwhile, on the south side of the map, it's going to be hammer tanks pushing in. The entire main base of the allied player has been destroyed or sold off, and the same can also be said for the Soviet player. Refinery does still exist. Crusher Crane is about to go under the ground, and the MCV has escaped to the south side of the map. Both players might be able to just perform the do-si-do, swap places. I don't know what this MCV was going to do, but he was going for the crush, and now, unfortunately, he's got locked down by the terror drone. Only one terror drone, so the MCV will be saved, potentially, by those IFVs, and no, maybe it won't be saved. This is a huge disruption to the Allied assault, and this keeps GreenAlert in the driver's seat. Although, enough units stayed back on the Soviet side of the map. Only the vehicles came back, which was actually a smart move there by AdAstra. Leave a couple of Javs, leave a couple of Peacekeepers on the other side of the map to finish killing off those structures and just pull back the faster Guardian tanks to the high ground to defend that MCV. Twin Blades should be able to clean up most of the rest of this. If there are any Javs left, they've mostly been cleaned up. IFVs crossing the map once again. They will get all 3 of these Twin Blades, nailing those guys, and no Crusher Crane. It would actually be worth building a Crusher Crane just to crush down those harvesters, and potentially this one as well, as GreenAlert looks to reestablish himself in this game. Command Hub does get eliminated there, and the IFVs will finish getting the kill on these units. Adaptive armor has been activated. No more Twin Blades for GreenAlert, so no easy way to cross the map and potentially save those harvesters. So you're just going to have to deal with the hammer tanks, maybe the Tesla troopers as well. And honestly, sending the Tesla troopers back would probably be the better call there, although now the IFVs have disappeared, so it is going to need a little bit more firepower. Harvester has escaped. Refinery here. Crusher Crane. There we go. Crusher Crane is going to get GreenAlert's economy back online with these 3 harvesters being crushed at once. Satellites getting called in. Power plant will get sold off. War Factory takes a lot of damage. And this is where it would be wonderful if you could combo that with some Twin Blades, but of course the Twin Blades got nailed earlier. And this is the power of the Soviet economy right here. $3,150 suddenly into the bank account of GreenAlert. Ultra torpedoes fire off, but the Riptide does still survive. And a Sputnik will be brought to the front line. I feel like we're almost at the point where, like, we should swap the names because Peraspera is more on top. But I guess with that Sputnik, we'll leave them where they are. Barracks gets reestablished, and the build radius has been maintained by GreenAlert. Peraspera almost kicks GreenAlert out of that side of the map, but won't be able to do it. Satellites drop on the high ground, but it's going to be the Cryo-Geddon on the low ground, and this will break up the tank army. Not a lot of help that would have gotten from whatever had to split to the south side, but a couple of Tesla troopers would have been nice to mix in to this engagement. The Peacekeepers would have probably dealt with them, but if they didn't, and those Tesla troopers would have been able to lock down some vehicles. Peacekeepers are just so efficient at killing Tesla troopers that 90% of the time the Teslas never get to their destination. But man, oh man, when they do get to their destination, they are extremely potent. And this is a very aggressive refinery placement. MCV is here. Tesla trooper does get eliminated. No lockdowns on any of these allied units or vehicles. And this Soviet MCV can absorb a lot of damage, but not forever. So we'll see if the hammer tanks are able to clean up this army before the MCV goes down. A little bit of clunkiness there from GreenAlert. He's having to deal with the buggy movement system of Red Alert 3, trying to maneuver this MCV. And the Guardian tanks have finally stopped attacking that MCV, so it is safe for now. Can gain some free repairs back at that Crusher crane. And this is one double barrel Guardian tank. I thought another one picked up an additional weapon, but I guess it didn't. Now the barracks is coming in. Conyard low on health. Walls have been established. Toxin's going to be coming in. Will help clear out that building. And this jab should be eliminated quickly. Yeah, Terror Drone can get the kill. The rest of the jab's going to be moving into position, but then getting chased away immediately. The dance continues between these Guardian tanks and the hammers. Finally, the hammers are going to try and pick up another kill and another gun. I think the wrong hammer tank keeps getting the kill there, as he should be spreading the wealth out, the wealth of weapons out more amongst his friends. And somehow, GreenAlert managed to hold on to that this water refinery in the north, which has been huge for him. Gets the cash back on the refinery as well. Always nice to have that little bit of extra income when you're the Soviet player playing on low eco. Barracks getting targeted down. Finally, this will be shut down. The jabs can be eliminated as well. Second barracks is here for the allied player. IFV running around the map, trying to find some more damage. MCV got healed up to full, and that multi-gunner turret gets deployed and immediately knocked down. Decent number of bears. I don't know if they'll be able to close the distance with all of these peacekeepers here, but they can certainly try, and it'll buy some space for the hammer tanks to come in for the crush. You're going to need another Cryo-Geddon to stop this, although they might be able to pull behind the walls. The MCV is coming. Cryo-Geddon will fire off, forcing everything forward. MCV should be fine, even if he just deploys it. He won't have any problems here. Hammer tanks avoid the Cryo-Geddon. All of the infantry get eliminated, and AdAstra tried to play a trap card there, but it just didn't work, and GreenAlert takes the game. GreenAlert's economy always staying online through this match, and finally it paid off with those high value hammer tanks in that last fight, ranking up to heroic, getting multiple guns as well. And GreenAlert, with the second half of that game, just outpacing PerasperaAdastra, who I feel like was doing better in the first half of the game. Like, first half of the game was the Allies' favor, and then the second half of the game was GreenAlert, probably starting with that loss of, like, the Guardian tanks, the Cryocopters, and the Vindicators. And from that point forward, PerasperaAdastra just did not have the army value that he needed. He was always trying to play catch-up in that sense. And that'll do it for this match. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Sybert, signing out.